The fight for fairness in women's sports continues. According to an exclusive report from the Daily Mail, the captains of the Roanoke College women's swim team were forced to convince a biological male student not to compete with them. And here's what the team said at a press conference earlier today.
Why would I even try to swim if I was going to have to race against a biological man? It was hard to even function because every moment I had was being consumed with what I was supposed to accept as a new normal, a normal that I never agreed to be a part of. For the first time, I considered quitting something I had loved doing my whole life.
Our government is not protecting women. The NCAA is not protecting women. They had a legal obligation to protect fair athletic opportunities for our female athletes, but instead, we were forced to practice and race against a biological male who removes fair sport for all of us.
Now, Roanoke College responded to our request for a statement confirming they had planned a board meeting on the subject before the student withdrew their request. Now, noting they voted to adopt the NCAA's policy on the issue. And meanwhile, in Maine, listen to this story. Outrage growing there after one high school runner who placed 172nd in the boys' division came in fourth place in the girls' division after coming out as transgender. Okay, here with reaction, director of what is now the Leadership Institute, Riley Gaines, is with us. Riley, how are you?
I'm doing great, Sean. It's good to see you.
You know, the Prime Minister of Great Britain actually said it's just simple. You know, boys are boys, girls are girls, men are men, women are women, and that's the end of it. Why is it that complicated? Especially when it comes to sports. Why is there this obsession? If you come in 172nd in the men or boys division and you come in fourth in the girls division, it proves the point, doesn't it, that the biological differences are very real. Now, that doesn't mean men are better or women are not better. Actually, I think women are better than men in a lot of ways. However, it's an unfair advantage. That's the issue.
Absolutely. It's proven by the examples that we continue to see. This is not happening the other way. Why don't we see women infiltrating into men's sports and dominating? I mean, that right there is all you need to know. What we saw in Maine with this male runner who now identifies as a woman, it's the same thing we saw with Leah Thomas. It's the same thing we're seeing happen at Roanoke. This was a mediocre man who is vying to compete with the women's team and then turns into this record smasher, destroying all the women's records. It's abysmal, and I think it's nothing short of criminal, to be totally frank with you.
Now, you have come out and you've been outspoken. You have really taken a lot of garbage from a lot of people. You get protested when you show up at different events. Has that part surprised you since you've just been outspoken on an issue that I think most Americans, frankly, agree with you on?
You know, it does. It does surprise me because I'm saying the most basic thing. Men are men, women are women. There are two sexes, and you cannot change your sex. I mean, it's something we learn in 5th grade biology. Yet you have people with PhDs, professors, who are teaching the total opposite. And if you don't teach the opposite, and you are adhering to the fact that there are only male and female, you could lose your job. I mean, it's crazy the direction this is going. And so the vitriol and the violence and the hatred that I have been met with is surprising, but I will be the first to say that the support that I've received is tenfold anything negative. There are so many more people who agree with my stance, our stance on this issue, than you would be led to believe if you only watched the news or if you just saw how politicians were voting.
I think Americans are a little bit like me. I mean, personally, for adults, I'm libertarian. I don't really want to know. Whatever adults choose to do in their life is fine. I knew Caitlyn Jenner when Caitlyn was Bruce Jenner. And we actually had a long, very productive conversation about it. And you know what's interesting is she now says it doesn't matter what your hormone levels are when you're of college age and want to play a college sport, and you started swimming, you know, when you were 4, and you're in the pool 6 hours a day for all these years, and you're one of the top swimmers in the country. You know, all that effort that you put in, it's unfair. You know, for example, she won't play. She's a great golfer. She can drive the ball 275 yards. She'll outdrive the hell out of me on most holes if I play it again. I haven't played in a while. And my question is, And she just understands there is a difference. Why do they feel this compulsion that they've got to indoctrinate kids, force it upon society? If they feel that people are being discriminated against, how about this? Men's sports, women's sports, trans sports. Start your own league.
Well, we saw this happen. FINA, which is the international governing body of swimming, after the whole Leah Thomas debacle at our national championships in March of 2022, FINA created guidelines that said if you've gone through male puberty, you cannot compete with women. And they created a third category. And at the World Cup in Berlin just this week, there was not a single entry in this open category. And that just goes to show, I think that's really proving of what the motivating factor here is. Because when we create a third category, no one competes.
And just to be
I think it goes
clear,
to show if you can't cheat,
Leah
you
Thomas
won't compete.
did not beat you. You tied. How come Leah Thomas then was given first place when it was an exact tie?
I asked this question, right? I asked, why? Why are you adamant on giving the trophy to Thomas, a man, in the women's 200 freestyle? And the NCAA official looked at me and Thomas, who's towering over me at 6'4", and he says, his eyes sunk in, okay? His face visibly saddened, and he looked at me and said, Riley, I'm sorry, but we've been advised that when pictures are being taken, it's crucial that Leah holds the trophy. You know, you can pose with this one, but again, you have to give yours back. Leah takes the trophy home, end of story.
Well,
They reduced everything we had worked our entire lives for. As you said, since I was 4 years old, I dedicated 18 years of my life to my sport. They reduced all of that down to a photo op to validate the feelings and the identity of a male at the expense of our own. We became collateral damage in the process.
Well, if I had an award, I'd give it to you because you kicked, frankly, Leah Thomas's ass. So, and if it's a tie, then you say, okay, it's a tie. That's the truth. Why did they lie? Why did they make special preference treatment? Anyway,